What up, YouTube? I'm back again for week 4 of my reflection vlogs on my documentary thesis project about Middlebury Ski Patrol. Today's vlog might actually be split up into 2 parts. We'll see how long it ends up going. But my advisor, Louisa Stein, has kind of been talking back and forth with me over the month and sent me a list of some reflection questions to reflect on now that I'm really close to the end of J-Term. And it's about kind of my process so far and looking forward and how things have been. So I'm going to talk through those and just kind of talk about my process so far and looking ahead. And yeah, okay, so the first question that I'm going to be answering is, what were my hopes and visions for this project at the beginning of the winter, so the beginning of J-Term. I think my hopes, initially I came in and I wanted to film as much as possible over the course of this month. I set the goal of getting all of my filming done over the course of these 4 weeks, with the hope that I would spend a few days, if not more, every week at the Snowbowl filming Ski Patrol in kind of on the job and on the mountain. And so my other goals, by the end of J-Term, I want to be able to kind of edit a trailer together for the movie and kind of work with the footage and preview what everything looked like and kind of get a sense of things moving forward. So yeah, those were kind of those are my hopes at the beginning and my visions. I kind of pictured driving up and filming and doing a lot more interviews. I don't think I got as many interviews as I initially planned on doing over the course of this month. I still have a little bit of time, so maybe I'll get a few more. But I think honestly that's one of the things that I'm actually lacking still, is just enough interviews with different people in different settings, so that I can kind of craft that story through the words of the people I've been talking to. And so yeah, I think overall my vision for how this month would go, I was able to kind of work within that for the most part. I did go up and film I was filming almost every other day. I have definitely hours of footage, and I think while not all of it is usable, that time was well spent, because it meant that the more time I spent on the mountain with the camera in my hands, the better shots I was able to produce afterwards from learning from those experiences, and the more time I just spent with the patrollers talking to them, both with and without the camera on, kind of built up just kind of these friendships with everyone in the group, so that I feel much more comfortable talking to them in an interview setting, which I'm starting to do. And so I think I underestimated kind of the initial work that would have to go into getting to know everyone and getting to know the camera on the mountain and how to film in a way that kind of, one, looks good and is able to kind of balance the exposure and whatnot. It's hard to film in snow, but also just like getting to know how to use the camera in such a way that I can get smooth motion in certain shots, and when it's worth lugging up certain equipment for specific shots, and when it's just worth bringing just the camera, no tripod, because I can make do in certain situations, and it makes it easier to follow the patrollers in those situations. So yeah, it's been definitely a great learning experience. I think I will have to film a little bit more in the spring than I was initially hoping, but I've made a significant amount of progress, as I definitely saw as I've been editing my trailer. And I'm very happy with it. Next, what were my inspirations for this project? So first of all, I think the initial inspirations are just the things around me. So I had the backdrop of Middlebury and the Snowbowl itself, which I already loved going to. I already loved spending time on the mountain, snowboarding or skiing. And then one of my best friends, Reed, who's one of the Ski Patrol co-presidents, I was living with him this year, still am, and he kind of loves talking about Ski Patrol and how much it's had an impact as an experience at Mid. So just kind of the surrounding factors of the people around me and the place itself, and wanting to explore the beauty of Vermont in the winter. It's something, I mean, growing up in New Hampshire, wanting to kind of showcase this aspect, like the winter aspect of nature, and how much I love that in a film. I think all those things were inspirations. But then if I go specifically to film inspirations, one thing I actually would focus on is my older brother. His name's Ryan. He made a documentary called The Grant Stoke, and he focused on New Hampshire surf. He focused on New Hampshire surf culture, and while that most people in the world probably don't know that it even exists, there's 13 miles of coastline, and people go year-round surfing, and they're competitive, very good surfers in New Hampshire, and there's this big culture and scene surrounding it. And so his film was also a documentary, kind of focused on nature and bringing that community aspect to it. And I think when I saw that, it inspired me to want to focus on kind of a similar type of community, and it helped me realize that I would be able to show my love for kind of New England and nature and Vermont, being here at Middlebury, through film, and also showcase this kind of community. And so I thought Ski Patrol was a good avenue. Other inspirations were actually some documentaries that my secretary advisor, Natasha, sent me. I'll just list them off. There's one short one on Vimeo about a ski photographer whose name, give me a second, is Oscar Inander. And he goes around and he's one of the best ski photographers in the world, I believe. And he lives out in Switzerland. And just like the beauty of kind of this almost simplicity of color in winter was one thing that really struck me, and just kind of the whites and the grays and the blues and the blacks. And just, yeah, kind of capturing something that seems so fundamental to living in a place with all four seasons and an extended winter, but that other people in the world might not get to see and experience as much. And then also this other documentary on Vimeo, or no, not on Vimeo, sorry, on shortoftheweek.com, called Raised Wet Crump, and that one really focused on crump dancing, and it had a lot of kind of slow motion moving shots around the dancers in different spaces. I think that's what really inspired a lot of my kind of handheld camera work that I've used so far, but I think has really worked well, because it allows me to kind of, I don't know, capture the beauty of skiing. I know I'm not even remotely the first person to do that, but to be able to kind of capture the art of it, and I think that allows also the viewer to visually see differences between specific people and skiers and how they approach the mountain. For example, one theme I'm going to want to focus on in the full-length movie is the idea of just like inclusivity, and specifically gender, and how that plays a role in power dynamics in the group, and just overall kind of the sports culture. Even though the Ski Patrol isn't a sports team, it's surrounding the sport of skiing, and how they kind of function in this supposedly all-inclusive space. And I think being able to visually see differences between different skiers who identify in different ways, both in their gender and their just like having different personalities and approaches to the mountain, I think is one thing that's easy to overlook, but I think is not easy to see, but makes it a lot easier to see in video, and in kind of the way I've been trying to capture it. So yeah, I hope those things stand out too. So those are kind of my inspirations, or have been my inspirations for this project. Okay, next is what am I most excited about moving into the spring semester with this project. Okay, so I just finished editing the first draft of my trailer. I haven't gotten feedback yet, so I don't know if I'm going to be making a second draft by the end of this week, how that's going to work. But after looking through a lot of the footage and getting time to sit down with it, while I know that I definitely want to capture a lot more in the spring, not more as in that I've already captured, but just in addition to what I have, little snippets and little events. It's very specific things that I might want moving forward. It makes me really excited on kind of the way I can craft the story and bring it all together. I think I've already chosen more of a visual style, and I'm excited to keep pursuing that. I think it'll definitely be a big challenge to keep with that style, especially in a longer form. I mean, my trailer's only about a minute long, but then when I try and turn that into an 8 or so minute move or documentary, or 10-minute or so, that's definitely a lot more challenging, but I'm excited to keep working with that and to push the limits of just my initial approach. I mean, I kind of stuck with the form of documentary because I think it felt natural to be telling a real story through documentary form, but I think it's also easy to kind of stick within the traditional interview format, and I definitely want to incorporate those interviews and have them shape the story, but I'm excited to also kind of let the skiers and patrollers speak for themselves through motion. And I think that I'll definitely have a lot of moments within the film where people can kind of just watch and listen to the sounds of the mountain and the sounds of skis and the sounds of a snowboard.